Hello everybody, welcome to another video regarding Elden Ring theories. I based a lot of my theories on kind of a consensus regarding, let's say, specialists that do lore content on Elden Ring. I will leave their channels on the description below so you can have a rough idea from who I'm getting some of my theories. And usually my theories, I try to reach where certain things, at least from my perspective, didn't seem very well explored. So I tried to, in this video, go about talking about Numen and Nox. Mainly what can be differentiated between them and my opinions regarding these two peoples that are basically the same race, which is the Numan one. My grand theory of things is, as we know, we got from the Numan descriptions and text all over the place. Numans, it's basically the same thing as a supernatural being who comes from afar, bringing gifts of wisdom, spiritual knowledge, and happiness. This is come inspired from the Numan word in Japanese, which is basically marebito, which basically translates to, in the Japanese folklore, as somebody who comes from afar and brings blessings to a certain degree. And I think Numans, given that also we can see some kind of inspiration from the Lord of the Rings, the Numenorians, a highly long-lived civilization with very high technology knowledge, also comparatively to the rest of the world. Again, we will assume that the lands between is like a continent in the world, where and the lands between are in this world, and counting that the lands of the Numan, they, I assume, similar like the Portuguese expansion on the discovery journeys that they did when they found America. Usually, when these things happen in terms of exploring beyond your limits, especially through the sea, um, they bring they don't bring the nobility or the kings to start exploring things. They bring certain class of persons to do the exploring and do the canvassing and discovering the native peoples there. And in this case, I think they brought some of the priestess and some of the monks there, and we got also the warrior class in case they needed something. So the sorceress, I think it's called, if not mistaken, yeah, sorceress and the monks and I think there are also maiden, yeah, night maiden. Yeah, they bring these people here to try to establish some kind of beginning of a civilization in these lands between. And of course, with the integration and the fact that we have some religious classes when they bring to this kind of missions, so they can spread the word, let's say, from their own religion and trying to integrate everything, in this case, in the lands between. I think they reach through the east of the lands between, and I assuming that this huge gap of water, body of water, was the Shadowlands. We even have like the this kind of cloud symbology here, which is, I think it's something that disappeared. So when the Shadowlands were covered by Marika on her ascension to godhood, she basically veiled the Shadowlands to the point that they were dislocated physically from where now there is huge amount of body of water. And I even think that crumbling Faro Azula might be even located around here. We got the swirl of water here, probably. Again, this is speculation. But yeah, when they arrived here, there I will assume they're all. This was the main spot of them starting to establish the Numan civilization here on the lands between. But again, there already were people here in the lands between. We got from the fire giants, the Zamorians, I think, how we can pronounce it like that. Got some astrologers here, because I'm not sure still. I'm not sure if the first astrologers, when they discovered to gaze the stars, were or not Numan, but let's assume they were not Numan. There are already some civilizations here. They were already going between established some relationship or neutral relationships with the fire giants already. We got also probably other peoples that was spread around through the rest of the lands between, and we got at this moment in time when the first arrival of the Numans, especially the maidens, the sorceress and the monk class, they start to integrate here. I will assume they went up north. They integrated themselves to a certain degree with the astrologers, and that's why that's basically, I think, kind of around that time frame. Some of the Numen people started to divide themselves into factions, which basically it's the Nox and the Numen post discovery. And basically the Nox saw what the greater will, which already is established here, because when they arrived there, we already had the Crucible Age established. I will assume this the arrival of the first Numans coincides with the fleeting god of the Elden Lord Placidusax, so the Dragon Lord. I think this already had happened, and the Crucible Age was established by the lack of order of a god. That's why we have this crucible, which is a melting pot of every kind of life there. We can even get the sense that this area was the central hub of the Crucible Age, where you got a lot of melting pot of life, all the beasts, and also all the let's assume persons that already were here, and of course Numans also integrated with it. And I think the faction that stayed around here, around the Shadowlands, what we call now the Shadowlands, were the ones that were integrated with not better, but they were integrated alongside the Crucible stuff. And I assume, given that Crucible is more they tend more to be more a philosophy of life, unshackled, and given that Crucible, the imagery of Crucibles have to do with fire and heat and all that stuff, I think to a certain degree they probably worship the sun, if there was a sun at this time. We have to assume so, mainly because afterwards we got to Radan and what he did with pausing the star cycles there, by locking also everybody's fate, because in this world we know that the fates are tied to the stars. And with that thing of destiny being tied to the stars, we got this faction, which I think it's the Nox, which later came to be the Nox. They were more in line with gazing the stars and trying to guess the fates through the stars, and they rebelled to a certain degree of the philosophy of the Crucible, which to a certain extent it was kind of the established order per se, the established main order. And with after all this faction being divided here, I think that the Nox in the meantime trying to impose their belief system throughout Liurnia, where we see more influences regarding the sorceries, and even in the Manocellus area, more stuff connected to the moons, which is kind of the more dark side of of stuff, mainly because also the moon is more connected to the feminine side in overall metaphysical aspect. That's why I think we got a lot of the feminine Nox people are more feminine side there, even though we got America, but we got all the descendants are, some of them are male, like Moog, Margit, Goldwyn, Mikela, also to a certain degree it's descendant from Marika. So they have all kind of the Numen blood there, but I think the feminine side aligned more itself with the stars and the moon than with the sun and the Crucible, which I think it's kind of how it's divided to a certain degree. It makes kind of a sense in a metaphysical way. But yeah, after this has been established, in the meantime, we came with the second wave of the arrival of the second wave of the Numans, where nobility and more, let's say, classes more important in Numan civilization start to arriving after they already been kind of established. Between here, where is located the Shadowlands, and to a certain extent, the Nox people, let's say, or the Nox faction was established, I assume, more in the north, and they went about it and went to kind of the Urn of the Lakes region there, where we see a lot of those influence there. Yeah, I think even there is a chance of Renala being Numen descent here, and all the Carrion lineage there be very in line with Numen descent. Um, because of how they aligned themselves to the stars and the moon, more to the moon with Renala and Rani and all of the Carrion priestesses there. But yeah, I think the second wave of Numan, which is after they already being integrated with the Crucible Age, and the fact that they already expanded a little bit from the moon and stars influence and sorceries and all that jazz, astrologers already starting to be established on Urnia of the Lakes. I think that's when we see some kind of arrival of the royalty, the nobles, the highborns, let's say, of the Numan race, and with them probably came. I don't know if Marika came in the second wave, or of Marika and her sister, the Glowmite Queen, were descendants of the first generation of established Numen here, but I will assume, given that how she is considered an Empyrean, I will assume that she arrived in the second wave. Makes a little bit more sense. And while integrating with this kind of with the Greater Will and the Crucible stuff, I think she aligns herself more in that sense, and was, I don't know if if Two Fingers supposedly already were there, and there was kind of a thing that because of the integration they knew about the Greater Will, and they knew to a certain degree that the Two Fingers selected highborns, let's say, to be classified as Empyreans. We both know that Glowmite Queen and Queen America were Empyreans. That's why we have kind of the little drama of my theory that they were sisters, probably twins, we don't know, but at least they were sisters. Makes a lot of sense of the duality, given that we have like Mikela, Malenia, Moog, and Margit. We got a lot of duality there, and now, okay, kind of variable spoilers. We know there is the younger sister of Renala on the DLC, which is Ralana. We got a lot of duology happening here, and I think that's why they were sisters. And I think the Glowmite Queen, whatever name she has, was more aligned to the Nox kind of affection there. It started to go a little bit, little by little, the attrition between the two sisters, or they were selected as Imperians at the same time, and we saw a little bit of divergency created between both of them. I think a little bit because Marika was gifted, I suppose, with the Rune of Life, while the Glowmite Queen was gifted with the Rune of Death and Death, or the Rune of Death. And I think there was kind of a schism between her two, mainly I think provided by the populace and the belief system of the Crucible, given that the Crucible is more towards life, and in that sense. And I think she might have been enticed by the Nox persons to a certain degree of fulfilling kind of a role there, probably, and the schism between both of them have probably grown to a certain extent that they started war between both of them. We got also then the Mesmer stuff. I think Mesmer might be even a child from the Glowmite Queen, and the rampage that he did, we see on the first trailer and on the second trailer, might be connected as a revenge kind of a thing. the way it is portrayed seems more like a revenge stuff, which is burning it all down to the ground. It seems more in line that it might be revenging his mother in the sense that it's the Glowmite Queen, because by the end, Glowmite Queen was betrayed by Marika, and Marika stole her rune of death and reforged the Elden Ring to her will, and then remove the Destined Death rune there out of the order. Because also Mesmer has more, seems to have more Destined Death kind of a vibes there, the flame stuff. Again, then after we got the details of the serpent and what that might bring to that. But yeah, basically my main take is there were two waves of Numen arriving. The first one was the Numen, and they afterwards, after assimilating themselves and trying to expand their belief system in the lands between, they divided themselves between the Numen proper and the Nox faction, which by itself afterwards, because they were on the losing side of regarding the Greater Will, they were banished to the underground. What I think is what happened is they were banished, and then afterwards they rebuilt their society underground. I don't see, from the exploration that I've been doing on my gameplay, I don't see huge amounts of evidence that the cities themselves were physically above ground, and they were basically, unless there is kind of a magic, they were inverted. Because there is like a stalactite kind of a thing there in terms of construction, especially on Silver River, which is Nocrom. Then we have Noxella, which is more integrated in terms of how they took advantage of the underground rivers. That's why I think there was no above ground cities in the places where Noxella and Nocrom. I think the Noxella and Nocrom were founded and constructed after the banishment of the Nox, and that happened coincided alongside with Marika ascending to the godhood. We got what we have here in terms of Nox influences is here Celia. We don't have basically a lot of stuff underground of Celia, I think, because Celia is around here, but it makes sense that the fact that they might establish themselves in Nocrom, mainly because of the proximity of Celia. As we can see, I think it's more about that than anything else. And the fact that there is here on the Liurnia, we have Noxtella. We got again, this is not a one-to-one relations between this interactive map, but Noxtella is between this Ansel River well and the deep Ansel well, so it is around here. I think it makes more sense that these river wells already existed, because they have very old palace ruins kind of a vibes there in terms of construction and architecture, and basically the Nox established themselves afterwards, after they created, I assume, the finger slayer blade. I think it was like the cardinal sin. I don't know exactly what happened there. There is a lot of timeline issues there for me to expand a little bit more. But yeah, I think that there was the crime committed, that the Nox committed by trying to establish their own god in opposition to Marika. Again, Marika won the overall thing, and basically I think in conjunction with that, the Nox were expelled downstairs to the underground, sorry. And when Marika ascended to godhood, basically she veiled the Shadowlands, which are very Crucible influenced. Again, I also don't know what kind of the Divine Tower's role has on it, because it's very weird. They are very ancient. I exactly cannot explain what happened there. There are some these kind of details, but the overall thing, I think it fits in the narrative that we have, and all the lore experts that are been doing videos. I think it fits a little bit here what I'm trying to do, so which is this theory of two waves of Numen, given that the second wave is when Marika arrived and her sister. The Numens already established here with two factions divided between them, so the proper Numen on the Crucible side to a certain extent, and got the Nox more turn on the side of the stars and the moon. That's why we have this kind of clash between them, and I think we're going to learn a little bit more of that when we get the DLC here. But yeah, other than that, then we have a lot of details regarding the timeline between Gottfried, if Radagon was something part of the duality of the America. There is something that I want to put it on another video, trying to explore the duality of Empyreans, because there is something there, and I would like to try to explore it, see if I can get any kind of support material to explain that. But yeah, basically the proper Numens arrived to the lands between in the first wave, with what they afterwards divided themselves into factions, the Numen proper and the Nox. And afterwards we got all the things that is already associated with the fact that Marika and the Glowmite Queen are sisters, probably twins. Again, I'm not going to speculate too much on that, but yeah, and by the fact that all of this happened in a very large timeline, that's why I think Marika arrived in a second wave, because she basically was an Empyrean with her sister, so part of the nobility class or the higher classes of the civilization of the Numen. And again, when you establish something, when a civilization starts to export, they don't send their higher castes, like the nobles or the kings. They send the people, persons that are already prepared for this kind of expedition, which usually tend to be religious people to try to spread the word of the religion, and fighters to protect and establish perimeters and cities and all that jazz. I think we got basically that thing happening here. Sorry if I went a little bit on a ramble here. Again, I don't have scripts for this kind of videos because I really don't have time to write scripts. It's something that I start ruminating these ideas on my head, and I try to pull out a narrative when I do the videos there. But yeah, other than that, I hope you enjoy it. Give me your thoughts on the comments below, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. And until then, Kunamy Master out.